Hey guys, today I have the Hasselblad X1D II right here in front of me. I've had it for the last couple of weeks. I've shot it around town here. I've shot it in New York. I even shot it side by side with the Sony A7R Mark IV, that new 61 megapixel 35mm full frame camera from Sony. How does the X1D II stand up to today's competition? Now, when the X1D Mark I came out, it was a much more expensive camera. Hasselblad has improved the camera in a few ways and lowered the price substantially. The body now comes in at $5,750. That is for a handmade in Sweden body. In fact, the X1D and the X1D II is my top pick for best digital camera design ever. The design is beautiful. It feels amazing in the hand. It's the best feeling camera in my hand as well. It's simple, the menus are beautiful, the touchscreen is beautiful, now with a larger LCD, a crisper, higher resolution EVF, faster processor, so startup time is just about cut in half, and the operational speed of the camera with the menus is now lag-free. You're not going to have any issues with any dials. This is a fully matured X1D camera now called the Mark II, and we get that better price, $5,750. Now yes, that's still very expensive for a digital camera, considering you can get cameras like the full frame A7R III for $1999. You can get a camera like the Nikon Z6 for less than that, I believe. You can pick up a Canon EOS R or RP, which are all full frame 35mm format cameras. This is not a 35mm format camera. This is a medium format sized sensor, and as you can see, the sensor is huge on this guy, as is the mount. I have the XCD 30mm f3.5 attached right now, and this, my friends, is actually my favorite lens for the X1D system. It's lightweight, it's small, it's a powerhouse in performance, and it's sharp, the color, everything. I just love this lens with the X1D II. Now this lens comes in at around $4,000, so for the camera and this lens, you're still looking at a over $10,000 kind of purchase, but you can still get today a used X1D in mint condition for around $4,000, maybe a little less. But I will say the new version is snappier, the menus are a joy, the EVF is a treat, everything's just a little bit better. Some were asking me about autofocus speed. Now, I thought originally the autofocus speed was going to be improved. It seems like it could be a little snappier, but it's not a night and day difference. I was one that never had an issue with the X1D autofocus because of what it is. It's basically a carry anywhere, take anywhere, medium format camera, and you have the power of medium format in the palm of your hand. That means extended dynamic range, and the dynamic range of this sensor is off the charts. This new steel gray or gray color is beautiful. It kind of reminds me of the old Leica M9 steel gray, or even Apple's space gray. It's kind of a go-between between the black and the silver. It's kind of like merged, right? So it gives it a little bit more of a classic or classy appearance. I actually do like this gray. It's grown on me. I thought originally I would like the black, but I think I like this gray color. It's really sharp. The LCD, let me turn this on. Now here's the startup time. I just pressed the power button and it's on. That is about twice as fast as what it originally was. But the LCD screen is absolutely huge, right? So you have touchscreen access to everything here, and it's all lag-free, and it works amazing. I'll get a close-up of it right here, actually. Let me turn on my trusty Sony Handycam, and we'll get some close-ups of the X1D here on the table. So here we go. The camera is just absolutely gorgeous. If you look at it, it feels substantial without being overly heavy. You have this silky smooth pop-up control dial. You have your power button. You have your ISO and white balance. You have your autofocus, manual focus switch, And right here, let me show you these menus. So here's your display menu. You can set your brightness. Okay, so that's good. Now we go back. You have your exposure settings here. So you scroll up, it works just like a smartphone, but it's very smooth, very responsive. You have your battery information here. So you can set up everything from your image quality to your focus settings. And yes, there is video, but on this X1D II, it says video feature not supported yet for some reason. Though I wouldn't recommend this camera for video aficionados. You can press play. I don't know. Yeah, I have no card in there right now. But the camera is responsive. On the back, you have your AEL button, your lock button, and your AFD button there. You have your control wheel here, and you have a control wheel in the front as well. Silky smooth. I love this kind of orange shutter button. It is just adds a nice touch. That's what the lens sounds like when it focuses. So it does have a noise as it focuses. It's not like these modern day 35 millimeters that have that really super silent focusing. So here's the battery right here. Pops out much like the Leica SL kind of system where you just put it in. And I love that kind of battery system. It just snaps in. You don't have to open a door. There's no door to break. But yeah, so this is the X1D II. But I'm going to turn this one off here, and we're going to talk a little bit about when I shot this next to the Sony A7R Mark IV in New York City. So I shot the X1D Mark II in New York City alongside the A7R Mark IV. I did some side-by-sides. I showed that on the website at stevehoughphoto.com. I showed a little bit in my Sony A7R Mark IV review. And a lot of people are like, well, since the Sony now has 61 megapixels, and Sony themselves were saying this now competes with the 50 megapixel medium format bodies from Fuji, from Hasselblad. I'm sure that's who they were talking about. So I put it to the test, and what I found was that in what I saw, now keep in mind, this is with JPEG files. I wanted to keep it fair because I could only read JPEGs from the Sony. So this is kind of just a just for fun, you know, curiosity test. In my eyes, the X1D had more dynamic range, a nicer fall off, nicer colors, not as contrasty and bitey as the Sony, and better ISO noise performance from the X1D. With that said, the Sony's way more versatile of a camera. You have a fully featured video production camera. You have high-speed autofocus, IAF for video or photo, 15 stops of DR in photo mode, 14 in video. You have all kinds of features with the Sony that make it as versatile as anything you can get. You can shoot any genre with the Sony. With this, it's not a sports camera. It's not a wildlife camera. To me, this is a life camera, much like a Leica. Meaning, I take this out with me on a day-to-day basis. I capture memories, vacations, travel, portraits, right? Anything you can think of. Environmental portraits with this lens can be amazing. This is what the X1D and medium format that you hold in your hand is all about to me. Getting that quality, because I still to this day have not seen a better quality RAW file than what I get out of the X1D and now X1D II. So if your quality is a concern or important to you, this is the kind of camera that could appeal to you. It's expensive, but it feels every bit of the money you pay for it and then some. It's enjoyable to use once you realize it's not a run and gun, mirrorless, super fast Sony A7. It's a little different. It's more like shooting a Leica, and I've talked about this at length in previous videos I did on the X1D. I know a lot of people didn't like the original because it was very quirky and glitchy when it came out. Hasselblad addressed that with numerous firmware updates to the camera, and by the time you shot an X1D, say, a few months ago, it was a totally different camera than what the X1D was when it launched. So bravo to Hasselblad for keeping X1D owners updated. Bravo for lowering the price and making the X1D II matured and smooth and a pleasant experience for all. So if you have the funds and quality is of utmost importance, Take a look at the Hasselblad X1D. Check it out at your local shop. If they sell it, you can rent them from lensrentals.com, or you can just purchase one and take the leap. Would I sell my X1D Mark I for the II? Not if I would take a huge loss, because the differences, while enjoyable, are not massive. X1D II, new processor for a more speedy performance, new EVF, higher resolution, much crisper, new LCD, which is huge and much larger on the back. So it's up to you. This is a camera that I can see many Leica shooters really enjoying. That's the kind of camera it is. Slow, take your time, pick your subject, frame your shot, take one shot, and away you go. That's how I love to shoot. That is how I shoot, and this camera fits my style perfectly. If you like what I do, thumbs up and subscribe. Check out stevehufpphoto.com for 11 years worth of reviews. Thumbs up, subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.